Om Sri Sai Ram. For last few sessions, we have been discussing about the application part of derivatives. Earlier we have studied what is continuity and derivability, and now we are applying what we have learned for various things, beginning with rate of change, followed by increasing decreasing functions, followed by tangents and normals, and then in the earlier session we have done approximation, problems based upon approximation. We come to the last part of this chapter called maxima minima. As such, it is not very different than what we have done earlier in increasing decreasing functions. We say that the function is increasing at a given point if the slope of the tangent is positive. In other words, if the derivative is positive at that particular point. If the derivative is negative at a given point, we say that it is a point of minima. Whenever we find there is change of a function at a given point from increasing to decreasing, we call it a point of maxima. And when the opposite happens, we call it minima. In short, this is the essence of the whole of maxima minima. Whenever, take for example, let us say we have a graph . Let us say this is the graph of the function f of x. Now let us say we started from A, B, let us say this is C, and let us say this is D. Now from A to B, any point if you take and try to draw tangent at that particular point, you will find that the tangent will make an acute angle. As a result, tan of that is going to be positive. Whereas after B, if you choose any point anywhere, let us say we are choosing a point here, and if you try to draw the tangent, you will find that the angle is acute, that is more than 90 degrees, and tan of 90 plus theta is negative. So we say it is decreasing. Whenever there is change from increasing to decreasing, we have a point of maxima. When the opposite happens, we say it is point of minima. This is just to understand based upon what we learned. We come to the definitions of maxima minima. We will take up the first definition, which says that if there is a function fx in a given interval I, we can say that the function in a given interval I is maximum at a given point C. Remember, C is a point in the interval. When we can say it is maximum? When f of C is greater than or equal to f of x. For all points, x belongs to I. Any point you take in the interval, C should give you the maximum value. F of C should be greater than or equal to f of x. We say that C is a point of maxima, whereas if f of C is less than or equal to fx, for all x belongs to I, we say C is a point of minima. And if you and this also will give you maximum value of the function and minimum value of the function. Let me repeat once again. In a given interval, choose any point. If f of C at that particular point is greater than f of x throughout the interval, it is point of maxima. If it is less than or equal to fc, it is point of minima. This fc, whether in the case of maxima or in the case of minima, is called point of maxima or point of minima, and f of C is going to give you maximum value or minimum value. C is point of maxima, C is a point of minima, f of c is maximum value of the function or minimum value of the function. We move on to the second definition of the function, and the second definition says same. The function is there, interval is there, there is no change. Once again you are taking a value, and now we are trying to define with the help of, shall we say, increasing and decreasing functions. Now let us say here is a point B, or you can take it as C, anything. Let us say here x is equal to C. Take a value little less than C. Now let us say this is a value less than C. Here it is x is equal to C minus h. And then take a value which is little more than C. Let us say this is a point which we are talking about, where x is equal to C plus h. You can see that at this particular point, or you can even, in order to understand it, we can take even these values, because we have already drawn a rough diagram of tangents. Now let us say this is C minus h, and let us say this is C plus h. The tangent which is drawn at that particular point is making an acute angle. Since it is making an acute angle, the derivative at that particular point, which is nothing but slope of the tangent, is going to be positive. Whereas at C plus h, if you see the tangent, the angle is obtuse. Tan 90 plus theta is negative. So what happens? It makes it negative. So we say that it is decreasing. So whenever a function is changing from increasing to decreasing at the neighborhood, little less than C, little more than C. If it is changing from increasing to decreasing, it is point of maxima. Whereas if the opposite happens, let us say for example this particular point, you take a neighborhood point here and try drawing a tangent here. Here is a tangent. You can see that the angle is obtuse, and then try drawing a tangent here at this particular point. You can see that the angle is going to be acute. Whenever angle is changing from obtuse to acute, tan theta will change from negative to positive, and you are going to get a point of minima. So with the help of increasing and decreasing function, we can understand this particular concept, which says that if the function is changing, or the slope of the tangent which we are taking, which is nothing but the derivative, if the derivative is changing the sign from positive to negative, it is a point of maxima. If it is changing from negative to positive to negative, it is going to be point of minima. Let us sum up once again. Whenever a function at a given point changes its sign from positive to negative, it is point of maxima. Whenever a function at a given point changes its sign from negative to positive, it is point of minima. Now assume that there is no change of sign. If it does not change, the derivative does not change sign. When it happens? When it is a constant function. So in that case, we say it is a point of inflection. So this is the second definition. We will move on to the third definition of maxima minima. The third definition of maxima minima also explains what is maxima minima, and in the same time it also gives you a method to find. If you draw a graph, now let us say here is a graph, and let us say here is a function which is representing f of x. So it has got some ups and some downs. Let us say this is up, this is down, and in that particular way. So what do we find in this? If you take this point, let us say we call it x equal to a, let us say we call it x equal to b, x equal to c, x equal to d. There are several points where the curve is changing from increasing to decreasing, decreasing to increasing, increasing to decreasing, again decreasing to increasing. Whenever there is a change, there is a point of maxima or there is a point of minima. What else we can understand by this graph? We can understand that in the same function, there can be more than one point of maxima or there can be more than one point of minima. For example, this graph is showing that it is changing from increasing to decreasing. So, we know that x equal to a is going to be a point of maxima, whereas x equal to b is a point of minima. Why? The graph is changing from decreasing to increasing. Whereas x equal to c, again it is a point of maxima, and x equal to d, once again it is a point of minima. Remember, these points lie between the intervals. Whatever interval you are taking, all these points are within the interval. There is something called absolute maxima. Among the points of maxima, if you are also able to take the extreme values, means generally we are defining point of maxima, point of minima, etc. in open intervals. We are taking I as a function and we are saying that the intervals are a b. So, x belongs to a b. So, whatever point we are taking points in the open intervals. Whereas, suppose if you take a point in the closed intervals, what is the basic difference between open intervals and closed intervals? When we say open intervals, we consider the points within the intervals. Whereas, when we say closed interval, you will also take into consideration the extremes, that is a and b are also values of x. So, what is meant by absolute maxima? First find out what the whichever function is given f(x), find out f dash x at any point x equal to c and equate that with 0. Why we should equate with 0? Is a very simple logic. For example, we say x equal to a is a point of maxima because it is changing from increasing to decreasing. And we also discussed that if we draw tangents at these points, the angle is acute. If you choose any point here, the angle is obtuse. What happens at x equal to a? If you draw tangent, we find that at that particular point, the tangent is parallel to x axis. If the tangent is parallel to x axis, it only means that the derivative of that particular point is 0. So, how to get point of maxima and or point of minima? Find the derivative, equate with 0, you will know the points. And then we will decide whether it is a point of maxima or minima. So, the method is find out whether it is changing from positive to negative at the neighborhood points or it is changing from negative to positive at the neighborhood points. In the first case it is point of maxima, in second case it is point of minima. So, this is one particular method in order to find out maxima minima, and this is known as first derivative method. What is the working rule? The working rule is function is given, yes, find out its derivative, that is the next step, equate the derivative with 0, you will get the values, extreme values. At that particular point, check in the neighborhood, whether it is changing from positive to negative or negative to positive, we call it points of maxima and minima. We were discussing about absolute maxima. So apart from these points which we have found out within the interval, you also find out the values of the function at the extreme ends, that is at A as well as B. Among all the maximum values, whichever is the highest, we call it absolute maxima. That point will be called absolute point of maxima. By substituting it, you get the absolute maximum value of the function. In order to understand these concepts, which when we discuss, it may sound a little difficult, but they are very simple when we apply them in solving the problems. So let us see few problems based upon them. Then we will go back to the last definition, because if we discuss all definitions at once, you may get confused. We will go back to the last definition, the fourth definition, after solving these problems, because these problems can be solved without without understanding or without discussing the fourth definition, which is actually also a process for finding out maxima minima, and the method is called second derivative method. So now let us see these problems. For example, he says find maximum and minimum values if any of the following functions. Problem number 1. And what are the functions? First one is fx equal to 2x minus 1 whole square plus 3. Second one, fx equal to nine x square plus 12x plus 2. Third one, minus of x minus 1 whole square plus 10, and the fourth one is fx equal to or gx equal to x cube plus 1. All of them can be solved by using the first definition. Look at the function fx equal to 2x minus 1 whole square plus 3. What the function problem is, find the maximum and minimum values of the function if they are there. If it is there, you find. If it is not there, say it is not there. Look at the function fx equal to 2x minus 1 whole square plus 3. Square of a number is always positive. So we can say that 2x minus 1 whole square is going to be greater than or equal to 0. It cannot be negative. In that we are adding 3. The minimum value of this can be 0. In that we are adding 3. It cannot be negative. This particular value cannot be negative. So as a result, this is going to be minimum value is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. So this particular function has a minimum value. Remember, this is the minimum value of this is 0. 0 plus 3. Anything else you take. Now let us say we take for example 1. So in place of x you substitute 1. So 2 into 1, 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 square is 1, 1 plus 3 is 4. So the minimum value of this particular part is 0 plus 3. So the minimum value of the function is 3, because 2x minus 1 whole square is greater than 3, hence f of x will be greater than or equal to 3. So minimum value is 3. It can be anything more than 3. Whether you substitute negative, whether you substitute positive, doesn't matter. For example, let us say we substitute minus 5. 2 into minus 5, minus 10, minus 10, minus 1, minus 11. But since you are squaring it, it will become positive, and it is certainly going to be greater than 3. So the minimum value of the first function is 3. Come to the second one. Second one also, even since it is a quadratic equation, a quadratic polynomial, try writing it in terms of this. This can be written as 3x whole square plus 2 into 3x. Now think what we should multiply to get it as 12. So it is 2. So you require 2 square to make it whole square. Since you are adding 2 square, you will subtract 2 square, and then you have lastly 2. So that from here till here, that can be written as 3x plus 2 whole square. What is left? Minus 4 plus 2, which is nothing but minus 2. So now this problem is again like that. So what is that we can discuss? We can say that 3x plus 2 whole square here, 3x plus 2 whole square is going to be greater than or equal to 0. That is the minimum value, either 0 or greater than 0. It cannot be less than 0. So let us assume that the minimum value is 0, and in that you are subtracting minus 2. So it will become minimum minus 2. So for this particular function, the minimum value of the function is minus 2. Maximum, it can be anything. Now let us say you substitute 10. So 3 into 10, 30, 30 plus 2, 32 square, going to be a huge number, and if you subtract 2, it doesn't matter. So the minimum value of this particular function, since this is going to be minimum 0, 0 minus 2, so the minimum value is minus 2. Come to the third one. Is again like the first one only, but there is a negative sign. The discussion will be, we are going to say that x minus 1 whole square is going to be greater than or equal to 0. But whatever it is, if you multiply with minus, it will become less than 0. So we can say that minus of this whole thing, x minus 1 whole square, is going to be less than or equal to 0. And in that we are adding 10. What happens? Remember that this is less than 0. Less than 0 means it is negative. And in that you are adding 10. So what is that you are going to get? What can be the maximum value now? The maximum value can be, this is 0. So the maximum value can be 10. All other values are going to be less than 10. Substitute 1 and see. Take any value, let us say we substitute 1. So what is, or let us say we take x equal to 2. So 2 minus 1. What is 2 minus 1? 1. 1 square is 1. So minus 1 plus 10. It makes it 9. All the values are going to be less than 10. So 10 is the maximum value. In the other cases, there were minimum values. Because of this negative sign, we can say that this is going to give us maximum value 10. Come to this last one, x cube plus 1. If you substitute positive value, let us say 1, 2, 3, etc., you are going to get positive. If you substitute negative, you are going to get negative. It can be anything. So how do we decide? How do we decide? First and foremost, we do not know whether x cube is going to be positive or negative. X square, yes, it is always positive. X to the power 4, yes, it is positive. But x cube can be positive or it can be negative. For example, x equal to 2, 2 cube is 8. If you take x equal to minus 2 cube is minus 8. So it becomes negative. We cannot say whether it is going to be positive, whether it is going to be say negative. So neither you can tell it has got a maximum value nor it has got a minimum value. So this is how these problems can be solved without understanding the last definition. The last definition is very significant one, which is known as second derivative method. Why it is very significant? Because we always prefer to solve the problems by that method. So now let us understand what is that second derivative method in order to find out point of maxima or point of minima. The definition says if f is a function, function is same, interval is same, point is also same. Those things remain same in every definition. If there is a function f defined in an interval I, and if C is an element of that particular interval, means C lies in the interval. Okay? The condition here is the function should be derivable twice. You should be able to differentiate it twice. Recollect, in differentiability we have studied about second derivatives. So that we are applying here. So what does the definition says? The function should be derivable twice. Then what happens? Here we have a function f of x and the interval is I. C is a point in the interval I. What is the second derivative method says? It says first find out the first derivative, that is find out f dash x, and then equate with 0. You will get the values of x, let us say a, b, c, etc., where the derivative is 0. Derivative is 0 means what? The slope of the tangent is 0, means tangents are parallel to x axis. If the tangents are parallel to x axis means they are the points of either maxima or minima. Now we have to decide whether it is a point of maxima or point of minima. How do we do it? He says at those points first find out f dash x and find out f double dash x at x equal to a, at x equal to b, at x equal to c, etc. Same thing, f double dash x we are finding out at x equal to b. Similarly, f double dash x we are finding out at x equal to c. If this is going to be positive, if that is going to be positive, it is point of minima. Whereas if it is going to be negative, it is going to be point of maxima. Suppose if it is going to be 0, then we cannot conclude. We cannot conclude by this method. We have to go back to the first derivative method. So this particular definition, in order to find out maxima or minima, is not applicable if the first derivative and second derivative both are 0, which generally does not happen, but suppose if it happens, this method cannot be applied. We have to go back to the first derivative method. What was the first derivative method? You have to check in the neighborhood. Now let us say at x equal to 9 you want to find out. Let us say you got x equal to 9 a critical point. Critical point means where the function is changing, increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing. So how do you check? Take a value little less than 9, let us say 8.9. Check what is the sign of the derivative. Take a point 9 at 9.1 and then check what is the sign of the derivative? If it is changing from positive to negative, it is point of maxima. If it is changing from negative to positive, it is point of minima. That is the first derivative method. Whereas in this is very simple. Function is given, find the first derivative, equate with 0 and get these critical points x equal to, it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be any numbers. At those points, find out the sign of second derivative. Means first find out second derivative and substitute. If the second derivative is positive, you have to remember, in general what happens is, whenever it is positive, we have the understanding it is maximum. No. In the second derivative method is opposite. If the second derivative sign is positive, then it is a point of maxima. X equal to A is a point of maxima. X equal to B is a point of, sorry, since it is greater than 0, point of minima. Okay. This method cannot be applied. Now, before we go to end this particular session, let us understand certain terms which we have come across. Function we understand, fx is any function. Interval we understand, in which the function is defined. We are taking a value c at where we are checking. So, this point C is a critical point. Critical point because at that point the curve changes either from increasing to decreasing or from decreasing to increasing. These critical points are only points of maxima and points of minima. Our objective is to find those points. And then also he says, find the maximum value of the function, find the minimum value of the function. So, how do you get that? Is very simple. Substitute that value in the function itself. We have already learned how to find value of the function. So, in place of x, substitute that, you get the maximum value of the function or minimum value of the function. So, this in short the introduction about maxima and minima, and we have got lots of problems to solve in this particular exercise, which we are going to take up subsequently. Right now, we close this particular session once again repeating the definitions. What was the first definition we set? A function fx in a given interval I is said to have a maximum value at x equal to c when f of c is greater than f of x for all values of x belongs to I. That was the first definition. If the opposite, it is point of minima. C is called minimum value. How? If f of c is less than or equal to, you can take f of x. And this is also for all values of x. This is the first definition. Then we went to the second definition. What was the second definition? In the second definition we said, at any point x equal to c, find out the neighborhood points c minus h, c plus h. Let us say x equal to 1. So, take a value 0.999, take a value 1.001. These are neighborhood points. At those points, check the sign of first derivative, whether it is changing from positive to negative or negative to positive, and then conclude whether it is a point of maxima or minima. So, in this particular way, we have studied various definitions, two methods to solve the problems, and we also discussed about absolute maxima and absolute minima. A particular curve can turn any number of times. So, as many times it turns, that many points of maxima, that many points of minima. All of them are called local maxima, local minima. But among them, that particular value which is highest, while taking highest, you also need to take the extreme values. Means we take the closed interval, and whichever is the highest is called absolute maxima, and whichever is minimum is called absolute minima. So with this we come to a close of this session, and in the next session we will be solving problems based upon maxima minima. Thank you. Sai Ram.